Hey kids, it's Bobo here, and you're listening to the wildest, most far-out, wiggling podcast, Anime Egotists. We love you, beauty.
And welcome back to the Anime Egotists, where I actually think I'd be able to befriend a kaiju.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Anyways, my name's Alex, and if you asked me to hang out with Naruto and have some ramen, I would do it, and then they'd see how much I eat, and they would never invite me back.
I don't know. He could probably keep up with you. And I'm Richard.
That's correct. And unfortunately, it's not just the two of us. I wish it was, but sadly, it never seems to be anymore. We are joined by I already gave him a great intro last time. We are joined by Nathan from the PostModern Art Podcast for the second time in several weeks. How you doing, Nathan?
Hey, it's me, Post. How's it going, guys? No, it's going good. I'm glad to be here, back to talk about what we're here to talk about today, because I know this is a certain fun one that you guys actually asked me to be a part of. So I'm honored, scared, surprised, all the above.
Well, you have a lot of dirt on us, so we had to comply in some form.
What makes you think I would have dirt on you? Is it the fact that I've also previously had you on an episode of my own podcast, episode 27? I highly recommend you guys go check that out.
We had to make sure the NDAs stayed NDAs.
Exactly.
So usually when we talk about when we're here, we talk about anime like Gintama, Fairy Tail, Zatch Bell. But for all the anime that are actually considered anime, there are quite a few shows that people think are anime, but they're not quite the same.
Exactly. There's a lot of shows that take heavy inspiration from the genre that is anime and kind of embrace it with their own art style and stuff. And that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, and just because they're not anime doesn't mean they're bad. It's just we want to give them some love. So American anime or just anime adjacent stuff. That's what we're here to talk about.
At the very least, you could definitely tell the influence of anime on some of the shows that we're going to be talking about today.
Exactly. But before we begin, massive shout out to Empearts for the amazing thumbnail she did depicting us in these styles. And honestly, I'm kind of horrified because every time I ask her to do a thumbnail, she does it better and better than the last ones. It's kind of scary.
You need to send me that info for that thumbnail artist, because I might want to have them on the podcast at some point in the near future with how well they're crushing it with these thumbnails.
Yes, but as much as I would love to spend the next hour talking about Empearts, I'd honestly love to. Maybe we should just begin.
Mm-hmm. Where do we want to begin, though? Because
okay, sure. Well, the main criteria. It's not from Japan. Like most people just say stuff like, I guess we just start off with one of the first shows. It's like, oh, well, it borrows from anime, and it's kind of an anime. Avatar: The Last Airbender is an anime. No, it's not. It's a great show, but it's not anime.
Yeah, exactly. It's an American show from the early 2000s, or mid 2000s, I guess.
Yeah. Still, like I said, it's a really fun show. Oh, it has... I'm going to be honest, it's been so long since I've rewatched Avatar, even though a lot of people are saying, oh, I just found it a couple of years ago. I'm like, just found it. Well, you know what? To each their own.
I feel something in the pit of my gut makes me think the reason why they found it only recently is because they saw the live action show. And it's like, so what is this from? And they realize, oh, we've had better all along. What in the world?
That is correct. And you get really fun characters. You get cool characters mixed with great action, and you can tell that shows like this did their research in regards to the culture, and it has one of everybody's favorite redemption arcs, Zuko's.
Mm-hmm. Plus, I mean, you can really tell the anime, like you said, people can easily mistake that as an anime just based on the art style, which I think is a major part of that research you were talking about earlier. Just how fluid it can seem at certain points, just the characteristics that seem very similar to the anime art, the traditional anime art style and such. Like, honestly, I was in that same boat. Whenever I first watched it, I was thinking it was an anime, and so I realized, oh wait, no, these guys are local homegrown talent more than anything else.
Yeah, that's a weird way, but I do understand what you mean by that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do an excellent job. It definitely follows a lot of the, I guess, shonen tropes that I guess what real anime would be considered to have followed. So with the action, the adventure, the kind of usually male protagonist hero as the major one would focus on. So it definitely takes a lot of inspiration from the different elements.
Yeah, the romance that kind of doesn't really. I love Avatar, but I always felt like the romance of it never really hit home. I was like, I even remember in college when I guess we were taking a break from filming something, we started talking about it, and everybody agreed with me. They're like, yeah, I love that show, but the romance was not excellent. I'm like, I thought that would have been a hot take. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty sure the romance wasn't exactly like it wasn't the main focus of the show. The main focus was the overarching arc of Aang and his journey to truly embracing being the Avatar, which, another good connection with anime, the way that they kind of told their stories in like different arcs of like learning the different elements and such before we got to the final, embracing it fully.
Learning the elements. Are there any other shows like that are kind of anime adjacent where people learn the elements? But instead of talking about air and airbending, they learned wind instead. Richard? Are there any other shows like that we grew up watching?
I'm sure there is. It's slipping my mind. I'm sorry.
And they don't just use elements. Man, that's strike one. They don't just use elements. They use these certain mystical items that they have to find.
The Shaolin Showdown.
There you go.
Shaolin Show. Yeah, this was kind of my first anime. This was this is the closest thing for me, because I'm gonna be even rewatching it a couple of years ago. It still holds up. You still they do the journey of the heroes changing and developing, and this was one of the first shows that I watched where it's like, oh, the story carries over from episode to episode, like a good amount of anime. Well, except most slice of life stuff. But you get what I mean, though.
Yeah, you get the different items that always seem to come back. They always have some connection where you have to wager them. So it depends on the ones you've gotten previously to be a major part of the story.
Yeah. And if you start watching the episodes out of order, you're going to get confused.
Yes. Especially with how some of the stories also interlink, but also like you said, some of the items that are used or whatnot kind of get like brought back in or get referenced in like later episodes or whatnot. It's like if you're just like 1 or 2 episodes off, it's almost like modern day South Park in a way, to where it's like if you're like 1 or 2 episodes off, you could probably catch up on certain things, but it will make so much more sense if you just go back and watch.
Yeah. All right. Question time for Shaolin Showdown. Who was your favorite character?
Oh, God. Okay, the thing is, the names are mistaking me, but who's the big cowboy? Who's the big cowboy?
That's Clay.
Clay, that's my boy. Clay is my boy.
Clay did not get as much to work with, but to me, it's one of those things where he was just likable. So I'm like, all right, that's good. Sometimes that's good enough.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
But also, come on, Raymundo.
Of course. Yeah. Can we not say anything to who can say anything bad about Raymundo?
No, I was flipping through the guides as a kid. I'm like, oh, Shaolin Showdown's off. Oh, Raymundo turns evil and sides with Louis. I'm like, yeah, what? Wow, major spoiler alert. Hold on.
Yeah, this was one of those shows that actually has that element of drama where a hero turns against the main party, which is something a lot of cartoons I haven't seen do, but they do it in anime a lot more.
Yeah, let's see. Omi turns dark, Raymundo turns dark, Clay gets possessed by some weird spirit that one episode, and Kimiko gets kidnapped and replaced with a robot. So yeah, it kind of happens to all of them, weirdly enough.
Yep.
They even say in one episode when Omi turns dark, he says, yeah, Omi turned against us. I would have expected Raymundo again. No offense. And Raymundo's like, no, even I would have taken that bet. I'm like, what?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can we also give a quick shout out, as well as we're thinking to all these different shows and whatnot, to what I would consider the Shaolin Showdown before Shaolin Showdown?
Please.
And that is Jackie Chan Adventures.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Like the same mentality of having these different items, in this case being like the different, in the first couple seasons, like the coins or the stone coins or whatnot, and having different elements being encapsulated in the person and using that to defeat that. Like, again, that's basically Shaolin Showdown before Shaolin Showdown.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna bring up Jack Spicer. I was about to be like, oh, we could talk for a whole hour about him. But yes, Jackie Chan, I could understand why you're like, yeah, that's anime adjacent. It might as well count at this point.
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, again, especially with like the art style that more or less like incorporated and such, the way that it would tell the story, but also like some of the weird mystical elements of it and such that again is very anime adjacent. I mean, it basically describes itself as such.
Does American Dragon Jake Long count?
Yes.
I would consider it, yes.
I thought you didn't even have to think about it, okay?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very much that, especially the first season is the animation style is much more anime-esque, but it also has that element of that transformation, growing in power and training and growing stronger to defeat the big bad at the end of the series.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, question regarding that. I know we're jumping around a bit, but I'm kind of okay with that. Let's think about this. So, Richard, do me a favor. You would say you're a fan of isekai anime, right?
yeah.
All right. For anybody who would not know what an isekai anime is, what's the most basic way you would describe it?
Travel to another world, and that's pretty much it. Most of the time, it's a fantasy realm, but it can be sci-fi or similar. But anything where you travel to another world.
So, Code Lyoko counts, right?
Code Lyoko absolutely counts.
Yeah, that would be a good example of an interesting one, especially because of the transporting back and forth, which isn't necessarily all the time that happens in isekai.
Yeah. Does Cyber Chase count in that?
Yes.
Besides that, it doesn't have anime elements, but it is kind of like, they go into another world all the time, and everything that happens in there is kind of self-contained. They try to save the day with their abilities and what they're good at. Cyber Chase counts, right? No? Probably not.
I mean, if we're going to be fair, if we were to basically crunch everything down to the basic element of a version of anime, whether it's isekai or otherwise or whatnot, everything could be considered an anime. However, for this specific example, I'm saying yes, Cyber Chase is anime adjacent, just because I think it's funny to say that.
I mean, it probably inspired a lot of...
We need to go to conventions and have signs that say Cyber Chase is an anime, just to see how people react.
Let's do it at MomoCon this year.
Deal. No, but going back to American Dragon Jake Long, you guys remember the Brad or the Bradster?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's kind of a freak now that I'm older. 'Cause, like, that one episode where he's trying to kiss a girl, then she turns into like a snake scorpion thing, and he's just, and rather than being horrified, he just goes, jackpot. Like, what is wrong with this man? There are people who have said, I used to hate the Bradster, but now I've become the Bradster. I'm like, that's something you could have kept to yourself, buddy.
Yeah,
I mean, this is
weird.
This is the internet. People are allowed to be a little bit more Bradster-esque whenever they're left to their own devices.
They're allowed to, but they probably shouldn't be.
Probably not. No.
Yeah. But look, and here's the thing: we talked before. Everybody loves Avatar, and I love Avatar too. But I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite anime adjacent shows. I'd say it's kind of up there, but it's not probably my number one favorite one.
I'm curious, what is that number one favorite one?
Bro, it's Teen Titans.
That's valid.
Teen Titans was my fucking show. Yeah, we can swear this episode's fine. Teen Titans was... It was awesome. It got to the point where even if I was watching it, my parents were in the room. They kind of recognized, okay, yeah, this is his show. Let's leave him alone before we yell at him for something.
There we go. I mean, to be fair, you could say the same example. Everything that we said about Avatar, The Last Airbender, you could easily apply that to Teen Titans. The animation style, the way that it told us certain arcs, how some of them were some less like self-contained, but other ones were overarching and such. I mean, it was peak. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect.
My dad walked in on me watching the Mother May I episode with gingerbread cookies attacking the Teen Titans. He's like, "What episode is this?" Dad, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. But go ahead, Richard.
Oh, I was gonna say that was one of the parts that I loved about Teen Titans is that you could have those big, emotional, over the top, really great action adventure stories, but then you could turn around and the next episode, as you said, is very comedic, funny moments, changing them into gingerbread men, making them into a pie, getting put into a TV, all these little things. It's funny. And I love how they actually indicated it based on how they changed the intro.
Yes, and the intro was in Japanese sometimes, and that blew my mind. Because I first saw it, I'm like, oh, an English theme song. Like, I want to say the very first episode I ever saw was the episode where they learned that Robin was working with Slade. So I was like, what the heck is happening? Oh, this theme song's cool. Then I see another random episode and the theme song's in Japanese. I'm like, did I sit on the remote? What's Oh, no, this is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
But the weird thing is, though, I was talking with Jet. I want to say we were driving together, and I was like, "Hey, look up the Japanese lyrics to Teen Titans, but translated. The translated lyrics are nothing like the English theme. The translated lyrics are just bizarre, intentionally bizarre, but bizarre nonetheless."
I mean, I guess that's one way to kind of like, especially for those that understand what's going on or understand what's being said. I guess that's one way to kind of let them know what they're about to get themselves into, you know?
Yeah. Also, Cyborg being my favorite character definitely helped.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like Cyborg was the GOAT of that show. Like, I don't care what anyone else. Like, everyone has the crushes on their characters. Everyone finds the humor with the other characters and whatnot. Cyborg was GOAT.
Yeah. Especially that episode where it's like, hey, we've dealt with Gingerbread Man, we've dealt with Slade, now we're gonna deal with racism. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I'm not the only person who's seen that episode, correct?
Oh, of course not.
No.
Of course, they don't want to deal with people like me. What do you mean, people like you? Cyborgs. What else do you think I said?
That's the crazy thing, because as a kid, I never saw them. Just like, oh, wait, I've never seen this episode before, and I missed like the first 20 minutes of it one day when I came home, so I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Then I finally found the episode when I got older. I'm like, oh, dear God. Yikes.
It certainly hits hard, especially nowadays.
No. Oh, and even when Cyborg's like, "Hey, we're gonna talk to Rob," and it's like, no, he would want to know, and I'm like, Cyborg is a good guy for that. And so Robin's like, "Oh, this guy's so cool." It's like, what? He was mean to Starfire? All right, hold up, I'm gonna get my belt. Hold on, one sec, guys, one sec. He's gonna you're gonna apologize.
Get back here. Oh goodness, staying in line with like the Cartoon Network vibe or whatnot, there is one show that I wanted to mention that is very strongly, heavily with the anime vibes in one form or fashion. I'm surprised we didn't mention it sooner.
Sure.
How come we didn't talk about one of the OG Cartoon Network shows, Powerpuff Girls? Like that
it inspired an anime, so I'll give it a pass.
I was gonna say it alone inspired an anime, but you can also easily tell kind of the anime aesthetic of it, like more than anything else. Obviously, you have the overpowered main characters fighting against a different villain of the week. Sometimes ones that are reoccurring and such, especially some that are like over the top. I mean, for goodness sakes, they had a mech episode against like a Godzilla figure. You can't tell me you can't if it's not anime adjacent. You can tell that it was heavily inspired by anime.
Powerpuff Girls was a weird one for me because let me put it this way. If an episode was on, I would watch it. If another one was on, I'd be like, all right, let me give it another one. But I don't think I ever thought to myself, oh, I have to run home for Powerpuff Girls. Like, right. I always, when I was a kid, I was like, okay, I respect it. I could see where this is coming from. Then again, I was probably the only one because all my friends were like, oh, that show's for girls. I'm like, girls being the main character. I'm not trying to cancel my friends. They were like 6 at the time. So what do you expect?
Right. Yeah, no, but it was enjoyable, and I definitely see it with the powers, and they always have the big like coming out of the screens. It reminded me of the like Sailor Moon transformations and stuff like that were popular for.
Yeah. When I was in school, when I was in I want to say kindergarten, somebody had a birthday party and they had a giant Blossom. That's the the girl with the orange hair, right?
Yes, that's Blossom.
Yeah, it's like a giant Blossom mascot. I remember being horrified of that thing, and I was like, I told my dad, "Can we go home, please?" And then we went home. Still have nightmares about it.
I love the ones that you see at like Comic-Cons and stuff, where it's these big buff guys with the big like paper mache head versions of them, and they're just.
Yeah, because it's a reference to like one of the episodes where the like criminals are doing that thing or whatnot.
Yeah. I could see, especially I remember, especially once you learn Mojo Jojo, that's his name, right?
Yep.
When you learn his backstory, and kind of like a lot of anime, you kind of think to yourself, maybe the bad guy's not that much of a bad guy.
Right, the tragic backstory behind the villain more than anything else.
Yeah. Going back to Shaolin Showdown for a bit, I wouldn't necessarily say Jack Spicer is tragic, but you can't help but feel bad for him sometimes.
Oh no,
Especially
absolutely.
when he's like, all I want to do is just be the biggest evil jerk of all time, and they're like, hey, you'll always be an evil jerk to us. I said, it's nice to have evil enemies. It's nice to have mortal enemies you can count on. I'm like, Jack. I love Jack Spicer. He probably one of my favorite animated villains, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Also, I did at least want to give a quick little shout out. Speaking of 90s Cartoon Network stuff or whatnot, does anyone else remember the episode of Dexter's Laboratory where they basically just copied an episode of Speed Racer?
Yeah.
Not really, but it's been a long time.
Oh my goodness. I remember the episode where they basically just, again, it was just their own version of Speed Racer. It was so hilarious, like having the mouths move like it did in the Speed Racer anime and such, having Dee Dee and Monkey in the trunk or whatnot, like it was in the original. It was straight up just a full on just parody more than anything else.
Heck, I remember that weird episode of Kids Next Door where they were it was kind of that Rashomon story thing where everybody had their own perspective of story. And of course, number 4 story was he was a Super Saiyan beating up the delightful children. I'm like,
that's right.
I'd be like, okay, if I was in Kids, he would be my best friend if we were in Kids Next Door. Or I'm like, I'd rather be watching this episode, honestly.
It's insane.
His hair was closer to Beast Gohan than actual Super Saiyan. Back then, we laughed, and now, like, oh, we have Beast Gohan now, so number 4 is a trendsetter, I guess.
He always was.
Always was.
I guess Puffy Amiyumi, technically, it's anime adjacent, isn't it?
Oh, it's totally anime adjacent.
I'm gonna be honest, I could maybe remember 1 or 2 episodes of this, so you might have to take the reins for this, Nathan.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, no, honestly, I don't think I saw a full episode of it, but I will say from what I do remember of it, from clips and such like that, obviously, like, consider the fact that the main 2 characters were inspired by a real, like, I believe it was either J-pop or K-pop band or duo or whatnot. Like, obviously, the influence from that is right there, and obviously telling it inside kind of the very artsy, almost like 1960s animated style and such. And like these wild and unique adventures starring, again, like the main duo or whatnot. I mean, it kind of writes itself.
Yeah, and they wrote the Teen Titans theme song.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, and they also had another song that was performed in Teen Titans. And I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I think it was an episode where Mad Mod was involved. I think it's one of Jay's favorite episodes or songs in general. And I'm like, oh, well, I couldn't not mention them.
I was gonna say, if I remember correctly, that show was basically just the kid version of Panty and Stockings. That's why I said kids version more than anything else.
Yeah. Oh crap! I kind of see it now.
Yep.
Oh god.
God. Oh. And when you go back and watch Panty and Stocking, you're like, wow, this show is not for kids. But
not at all.
Not another video for another day. Maybe, possibly, probably not. But Nathan, we've been beating around a little bit. I think there's a certain anime-centric show that you and I have kind of bonded over the years of.
It's one that I remember so fondly, and it seems like no one else remembers it. But I'm so glad that we got it. Not just the fact that it was so anime-centric, but the way that it basically embraced anime culture while also keeping an American culture installed with it.
You got this, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking obviously about Kappa Mikey!
I still don't I watch this show all the time, and I'm still not convinced it's real in some aspects.
I don't remember it, so that's fine.
Oh, Alex, I'll have you take the reins on this one.
Okay, so Kappa Mikey was kind of a strange show because it's about a kid from America who wins an acting job in Japan, and all the Japanese characters are animated like super over the top when they react to stuff. Like, they have anime expressions on their face. But when Mikey freaks out, he kind of just stays the same. It's very subtle, so you're like, oh, the Japanese characters kind of react like anime characters, while Mikey just kind of reacts like a normal, more like a normal real life person. And it took me years to realize, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense, actually.
Like, keep in mind, Richard, it was literally a American character that was basically animated in Flash, while everyone else was animated anime style.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I remember a little. He's like in a superhero costume all the time, right?
Well,
okay.
Yeah. The plot is that the episodes always start with them recording an episode, and then Mikey does something to screw it up. And then at the end of the episode, when everybody's learned their lesson, then they finish filming the episode.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's weird because, Nathan, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but apparently there's like an original pilot that was on MTV.
I feel like I've heard about it, but I don't know if I ever saw it.
I've watched it. I want to say I watched it once when Richard and I were in the dorms together. It is bizarre. Like Mikey's a little more of a jerk. There's some swearing. It's animated differently. It's something. Honestly, it might be something I might just have to have you on. Just once we'll watch it and then we'll talk about it. We'll be like, what the hell did we just watch?
Right. I mean, to be fair, like considering what we see these days when it comes to what was initially pitched with like the pilot, considering what we got with shows such as Adventure Time, Star versus the Forces of Evil, what was it? The Gravity Falls and such. It makes sense why there would be a pilot that showcased on MTV, and then some of the other executives were like, "This is good. Let's tone it down a lot for kids."
Yeah, and I don't even think it was necessarily bad, but I got like 5 or 10 minutes in. I'm just like, I have to turn this. This is too weird for me. Now that I know what I'm getting into, I think I could watch it. If I find the link, I'll send it to you so maybe we can talk about it someday.
Absolutely. But I mean, even then with what we got, it was a trip more than anything else. Like I said, it's cool to have the blend of the overall arching arc of one art style being the most dominant thing, and like the main character being a completely different animation art style or whatnot to really highlight the cultural differences between the two, while also like the shenanigans that they get up to and stuff, like seeing how over the top some people are and how regular some of them are to certain circumstances and whatnot. And obviously when we're talking about the anime aspect of it, again, what anime have we seen does not have some of those over-the-top expressions more than anything else? Like, you can certainly tell that when the creators did this, there was a major love for anime at the heart of it.
You remember Gonard, right?
Of course I remember Gonard.
Yeah, first of all, that's not a fantastic, it's not an inappropriate name, but I can understand why people would be like, what kind of name? Okay, Gonard.
In hindsight, yeah.
He's voiced by the guy who voices Goku in Dragon Ball Z. It took me years to realize that, and I can't unhear his voice now.
Yep. That show was something else.
Yeah. And the girl who you also remember Mitsuki, right?
I'm trying to remember which one.
Blue hair.
Mitsuki.
Not very
blue hair,
nice
okay.
Blue hair.
Yep, I remember that one.
Yeah, she voices Lavenza, Justine, and Caroline from Persona 5. Once again, I still can't get over that. I'm like, wow, really? Yeah,
I'm always amazed with voice actors, just at the end of the day, with how well they're able to basically throw their voice in different ranges and such.
I've met voice actors who start talking to me in character. When I talk to them, I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. Like, slightly unrelated, Jay and I met Rob Paulson, and he immediately started talking like Carl Weezer when we met him. I'm like, oh my god, this is bizarre.
Oh, you lucky.
Hearing Carl Weezer swear is kind of amazing.
Would Jimmy Neutron be one of these? I'm just thinking off the top of my head. It doesn't really have that aspect, but it does.
Is it technically an isekai?
I mean, it's not being thrown into another world. It's bringing otherworldly elements into it more than anything else.
Yeah. I mean, there's not really the action part. I mean, maybe it's that kind of new genre where people aren't super strong, but they're super smart. So,
do you remember the episode where Jimmy wrote that movie?
Yeah.
And it turned out to be just the Professor Calamitous, who was the director in Disguise.
Yeah.
You're telling me and his dad brought up, is the movie called The Adventures of Donut Boy? You cannot tell me if we actually got a Donut Boy series, it would not be anime style or anime adjacent. You cannot tell me it wouldn't be.
And to be the most popular show on Nick, because everybody who hasn't watched Nick in years would come back.
Yeah, it would also be more prominent than Plant Sheen, but that's not saying a whole lot. I think both of our podcasts combined are probably triple the fan base of Plant Sheen.
Now, I will say Plant Sheen is an isekai.
You're not wrong, but is that something to celebrate?
I didn't say it was something to celebrate. We're just pointing out facts.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Is Teen Titans Go an anime or anime adjacent?
I feel like if it's anime, it's like equivalent to what's that one show like Epic Time Pow Pow or whatnot, like the random
Pop
one.
Team
I
Epic.
was-
I think I
Pop
know
Team
what you're
Epic.
talking about.
The one I was going to compare it to would be like, what was it? Attack on Middle School or something. The middle school
Attack on
version of
Titan
Attack on
Junior
Titan.
High.
Yeah,
There you go.
Where it's that like element of taking a very action-oriented show and turning it into something more like comedic.
True, but I'd actually argue that Attack on Titan Junior High is a superior version, but that's just me.
Well, I think that everybody agrees on that, especially after the finales.
Yeah. Yes, Pop Team Epic, that's what it's called.
There you go.
Yeah, we had a fan of ours saying, hey, I know you guys aren't really interested in all these other shows, and I respect that. Pop Team Epic is that one for me. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Look, I hope everybody has fun working on it, but it's one of those shows I look at them like, I don't think this is for me.
It's a certain. I feel like you have to have like a certain headspace going into it more than anything else. Like you either gonna really enjoy it or the gimmick gets old really quickly.
Speaking of weird gimmicks, Richard, was there an anime adjacent show about monkeys that you've brought up once or twice since we've been friends?
Yes.
Go
So
for
one
it.
of
This is all
it
you,
was
buddy.
one of my favorites, and I'm still disappointed that it didn't get a true ending. And it's Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go.
Yes.
I loved it as a kid. It was Power Rangers animated. It had animations because everybody had different powers and abilities, and they fought in a giant mech to fight kaiju level versions of the monsters. They had their skeleton enemy, like most of the Power Rangers face. It was perfect, and then it ended early.
Yeah, unfortunately, because that show was incredible. It deserves more love, especially these days.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially like the animation style, some of those fight sequences and such. I like the interpersonal relationships with the different members of the crew and such. Like,
Yeah.
God, thank you for giving me a blast to the past because I forgot about that show. But God, it was a good show.
Yeah, and I mean, it was one of the first times Disney let them, even though it was only like one or two episodes that they were killed off, Disney let them kill off a character. So the fact that they allowed that is still kind of mind-boggling, especially for when this was in Disney's time.
I feel like for me, and this is nothing against the show, I feel like whenever I watched it, I never saw it in order. So I was always lost as to what the heck was going on. I feel like
valid.
even I did enjoy what I saw though. I was like, okay, this is cool. If I could just start from episode 1, we'd be great. But streaming services didn't exist back then, so there wasn't a whole lot I could do.
Yeah.
Right. Keeping up with the same vein when it comes to Disney or whatnot, will we also consider Yin Yang Yo within that same vein of anime adjacent?
Yes.
Kind of, especially like the young underlings or whatnot, trying to train to become like the best of all time in a very comedic way.
Yeah, and then they have Wufu auras, which I feel like only one of them learned on screen, the other learned off screen. That made me so mad. I'm like, did I miss an episode? What happened here? Oh, Super Robot Monkey Team. It's on Disney Plus.
Oh hell yeah!
We should probably jump on that.
You know, screw that. Let's get a new season. Hashtag new season. Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. Get that whole entire hashtag going, people.
Put it on Blue Sky.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
So-
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's not animated, but we've talked. I mentioned it with Super Robot Team, but Power Rangers and I guess Super Sentai is pretty much anime, but just live action versions instead.
Yes,
Yes, Alex.
I don't know. I feel I can't talk about Power Rangers too much because I'm gonna go crazy, but I'm gonna try. Yeah. So when I was a kid, there weren't a lot of people who lived that close to me, so my dad would always put something on. We watched Power Rangers relentlessly, to the point where my dad always knew the characters. My dad and I still talk about the Wild Force when the Wolf Ranger turned good. My dad and I still talk about the Quantum Ranger and how he's the best Ranger of all time, and I will accept no other answers. We talked about how, yeah, Zordon was a giant head who honestly probably could have done more for them. He was kind of a jerk sometimes.
Yeah. True.
I mean, especially with the over the top elements that show had more than anything else. I mean, like it's tailor made for that kind of audience.
Like, hey, and it technically, yeah, and I'm ashamed to admit this because it took me years to realize, Power Ranger. I did not know Power Rangers was actually different in Japan. It's called something different. And I'm like, oh, these are different people in these costumes. Oh, they use Japanese footage. Oh, why did it take me so long to realize that?
Isn't there another like Japanese live action like what's for like Power Rangers S called like Kamen Riders or something like that, or
Kamen Rider?
Kamen Rider?
I don't know enough about Kamen Rider, so I was like, I could have brought it up, but I don't have anything more to say about it, besides the fact that I feel like people are talking about it endlessly right now.
Yeah, valid.
There's a whole convention in Atlanta. Well, if not, it's not going to be in Atlanta much longer. Called Rangers Stop and Pop that celebrates anime and Power Rangers. They're kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's just kind of, interlocking.
Yeah, and there's that anime that's out right now about the Red Ranger being in an isekai. I still haven't given it a chance yet with everything I've been watching, but people have twisted my arm enough to where they're trying to get me to watch it.
There's been quite a few anime that have been inspired by Power Rangers, because there was the one I watched, which was Love After World Domination. I like that one. And then there was one where the Power Rangers were actually the bad guys.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
That have recently come out. Those are the three I kind of know about right now, but I think there's been a few others.
Well,
you always see it pop up.
Well, the one I know is Mr. Villain's Day Off, where the main villain fights against Rangers, and when he's on the clock, he's fighting them. But when they find him off the clock, he's like, "Hey guys, no, I'm sorry, I'm off the clock right now. I'm going to the zoo to see the pandas. Rangers, please leave me alone." Which I'm like, yeah, I would be doing the same thing. It's my day off. Down to the point where one of the Pink Rangers said her big secret is she doesn't want to be a Power Ranger. She deep down wants to be a magical girl instead. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. What? I understand why you have that secret. I'd rather be a Power Ranger.
Here's a tutu. You're pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of anime-inspired stuff does kind of incorporate Power Rangers into it.
Yeah.
Technically, the arc of Pokemon where they all have, it's like, oh, we need to capture the Ultra Beasts, and they have those super long transformations into the Ultra Suit. Yeah, those weren't perfect.
Yeah, I skipped that season still.
you weren't missing a whole lot, but going back, I do remember Yin Yang Yo. I remember loving it as a kid, and then the plot twist at the end being, this panda is their dad. I'm like, what?
How does that biologically? You know what? It's best not to ask questions we don't want the answers to.
And it's just like, oh, he's their dad, but he might not have given birth to them. I'm like, well, that's much as obvious. He's like a dad to them, and then the series ends with, hey, if you're a dad, then who's our mom? And then it just ends there.
Yep. With this in mind, I feel like I have to ask this question as well. Is Steven Universe anime adjacent?
I could kind of see it.
Yeah, and maybe not in the animation style, but it is in like the storytelling and overarching thing, and it kind of has that introducing characters by having this like episodic start, and then it changes to nothing but story towards the end.
Yeah. And especially with like some of the like the fusion scenes or whatnot being basically kind of like a Sailor Moon-esque like transformation scene, and also with how many twists that show has at times or whatnot, it fit perfectly if it was done in anime style.
The constant breaks in between seasons, that's kind of anime. That's anime.
The time jump,
hiatuses.
I'll say the time jump when we get to the final season.
Yeah, it took us like 20 years to get Zatch Bell too, so I guess getting more Steve... I guess when you think about that, the waits you get for Steven Universe aren't too bad.
Yeah, and then Disney's done a lot with a lot of different shows. As you mentioned Star vs. the Force of Evil earlier, Nathan, so they've done a lot lately with that sort of thing. Owl House was another good example.
Yes.
Maybe, what was it? Amphibia...
I would say those two that you listed right there, Owl House and Amphibia, isekais. Just saying, kind of.
Totally Spies counts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that one kind of follows the magical girl, but just rather than magic powers, they get spy gear in her.
It's rather than magical powers, it's just ass kicking, and I kind of respect that.
It's practical magical girl.
Yeah, magical girl mixed with James Bond, basically.
God, can you imagine like a James Bond movie that is actually just like whenever he suits up and whatnot, it's actually just like a magical girl transformation or whatnot?
Oh dear God. That's not even the most controversial stuff about James Bond movies. I'm just like, maybe leave out some of the stuff that James Bond is known for.
Yeah, they've been better about it in recent movies.
Yeah. 2003, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's kind of anime adjacent, right?
Oh, yeah. That's absolutely anime adjacent. Especially the art style alone, that's absolutely anime adjacent.
Yeah, and it kind of expands, especially as they go into, because it lasts for like, I don't know, 7-8 seasons, and they get more powers, get like weapons that give special abilities.
Yeah, I mean, the voice of Ash Ketchum, Veronica Taylor, she voices April O'Neil, so I think anything she's in automatically counts as an anime.
I mean, you could. I would also argue that you could consider like the original '80s series also anime adjacent as well.
I could kind of see that. I just went with 2003 because it's the one I know better.
Mm-hmm. That's valid.
Yeah, I remember every day I got home, it was Totally Spies, then Code Lyoko, then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, then Teen Titans. I'm like, this is the greatest lineup of all time. No, I'll watch this, then I'll do my homework after this. Forget it.
I'm kind of surprised we didn't bring this one up because we were so excited when it came back when we were in college. Samurai Jack.
Oh, how do we miss that one? How do we forget that?
Yeah, I mean, the storytelling, the different bad guys, it does have that villain of the week mentality a little bit. So it's definitely up there. It's anime adjacent.
It has the line extra thick. Yeah, I still couldn't. I feel like I missed that episode growing up. So when I finally heard, I'm like, oh, so like someone did like an abridged series of Samurai Jack. Okay, that's fine. Oh, this is canon. Oh,
yep,
what?
That's canon. I mean, I was gonna say, like we said with the Samurai, you literally look at just about every single show that Genndy Tartakovsky has made. You can tell that there's an anime influence on it. I mean, I kind of mentioned Dexter's Laboratory in a way, obviously the one episode alone, but kind of the way that's set up. Samurai Jack, you have when it returned. You also have Primal. You know, the kind of the subtle storytelling elements that it has, especially the newest series they came out with. What was it like? What was it? Unicorn Warrior Eternal, I think it's what it's called.
Yeah, that sounds like an anime.
I mean, Genndy is definitely if I did not know better, I would say Genndy is just a weeb.
I'd say there's no like, hey, you can get paid for liking anime. I'm sure it's happened to some people. What?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Why are you laughing?
I just love like the subtle silence after you said that. It's like I'm sure some people got paid for liking anime.
Yeah, eventually, maybe, probably.
Eventually.
But I guess if we're going to talk about good examples, that movie that came out, what? Horton Hears a Who had anime-inspired stuff. It counts, right?
Huh?
What?
Yeah,
I'm gonna need you to walk me through this one, buddy.
Yeah, apparently in Horton Hears a Who, there was the movie that came out a while ago. There was an anime-inspired fight scene. It was not well received.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure it's better received than the Cat in the Hat live action film. So,
how much of a bar is that? How much of a flex is it to say, well, we're better than the Cat in the Hat live action movie?
I mean, considering the fact that that's the worst live action Dr. Seuss film, when the best one in there is easily the Jim Carrey How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I
don't know about easily.
What other live action Dr. Seuss films do you know?
Cyber Chase?
That's not live action.
Speaking of
The Lorax? No, it's not live action either.
Anybody else remember? I don't think Ben's Head counts, in all honesty.
I feel like
style-wise, yes, but story-wise, no. I don't know why.
I'll put it like this. At least the. Well, here's the thing about that, because I want to make the argument that Ben 10 is anime adjacent more than anything else, because especially like as you go further on the series, especially as we get like the subsequent series afterwards or whatnot, kind of how it starts off being like this original thing of like, you know, random kid gets these superpowers and is learning to deal with them, to later on being this overarching universe when it comes to all these different like alien hierarchies and like trying to defeat the ultimate bad guy and such. Like, I feel like the argument can be made there to where it's anime adjacent.
I don't think the original series is, but if you told me like Alien Force Onward was, I could let it slide.
I would even say like at least the last season of the original Ben 10 series, when we finally get the confirmation with Vilgax, like the first one.
Yeah, it does have the redemption of Kevin turning good.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, what anime doesn't have a good redemption arc?
Yeah, Kevin turned into the most relatable character in that show. When you were a kid, his car got trashed and you laughed, and now you're older and you're like, crud, his car, not his car.
I think what I read was that the guy who won the Kevin Levin car actually still had it for a long time, and then just recently sold it, or a couple of years ago sold it.
Oh damn! I would have looked. I wouldn't have bought it, but I would have at least have taken a look.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
Sorry, go on. No,
I was going to say, they recently rebooted when they rebooted Ben 10, and everyone's like, "Oh, no, you didn't have to do that."
There you go. The new Ben 10 series, I would not consider anime adjacent.
Yeah. And then that weird Christmas episode where after they save the day, there's that old man, and he has 3 kids with him who are eerily similar to Konohamaru, Moegi, and Udon from Naruto. I'm like, wait, what the? Why are there Naruto characters in Ben 10? This is bizarre.
Yeah, we're not going to consider the new Ben 10 series, and we're not going to consider any of the live action TV movie specials.
Yeah. Or that one episode of Billy and Mandy where Billy's eyes get ruined, and then they keep zapping his eyes, and they show Mandy and Grim in that weird art style. It's like, is this Billy and Mandy? And someone said, no, this is Soul Eater. I'm like, I can see it. There's sides, there are Grim Reapers. This is very Soul Eater-esque.
There was also the one episode to where it was basically kind of like a Dragon Ball tournament or whatnot over like chicken or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh god, took me a minute to remember that.
Or Fairly Odd Parents Channel Chasers, where it ends with a Dragon Ball Z type Street Fighter style fight. That was a weird way to end. That was a weird way to end that movie.
Yeah.
And as a good way to end the series. But wait, so Rada, and that's a good way to end the series.
I didn't think Poof was terrible.
No, Poof wasn't terrible, but the dog was.
And then it continued. And then it canceled. And then it rebooted like 2 years later.
It rebooted with that weird live action thing, and it's like, huh? Oh,
yeah, that one was bad. But the newest one, A New Wish, is actually fairly solid.
I've only seen clips of it. For the most part, they seem good, but one clip in particular, I was like, ooh, I do not like that. But it was just that one snippet that I didn't like. Everything else was like, all right, this is promise. Maybe I'll give it a chance.
It's on Netflix last time I checked, so.
Especially with the news that Jimmy Neutron might finally be coming back soon. I'm like, I don't care if I'm in a coma. Wake me up when that comes out.
One that just came to mind was also from that JetX era that I was just looking up. Boron. It was the one about racing the pods with the guns, and they're racing for like Earth's safety or something. And it's the girl who's the dad owns this one. It's spelled. Let me find it. I don't know why it just popped.
Are you sure this is not
Oban.
IG? Huh?
OBAN. Star Racers.
Give me a sec. Huh. Okay, upon reflection, this is familiar. I don't think I ever saw this, though.
It was on JetX, from what I remember, and it was just... I remember really enjoying it, but then also struggling, like, to be able to continue, because I think it reached a point where they stopped showing new episodes.
Mm-hmm. Oban Star Racers is an English-language, French-Japanese anime television series. That is a mouthful.
Okay, so it is anime. It literally says anime in the thing.
Still though, this is unlocking something for me. I'm like, holy crap! I think I vaguely remember this popping up.
Okay, so this next one I'm gonna say is kind of cheating because technically they did have like anime stuff further on, but is Star Wars anime adjacent?
No.
No.
Star Wars, the Clone Wars, you could maybe twist my arm into saying, but outside, no, not really.
Not the mainline stuff, not the protagonist being told that they are potentially the savior for an entire universe and such, going up against again the ultimate overpowered bad guy who is actually not the ultimate bad guy, it's a different bad guy or whatnot with that little twist or whatnot. Like, Leia
did kiss Luke in that one part of the movie, and anime fans do have a weird thing about that sort of thing, so I guess technically that counts. Yeah, just a reminder that some of you make me sad.
I mean, I will say, like, both Clone Wars series, both the Genndy Tartakovsky 2D animated one, the 3D animated one, I can also say that. Plus, they did legitimately have, like, anime studios bring up their own, like, vision of Star Wars with Star Wars Vision on Disney+.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen a whole lot of Star Wars stuff on Disney+. Plus, every time I feel like I've heard of one show, then it's like, oh no, there's these 6 other shows. I'm like, oh great,
yeah,
what?
Yeah, they come out with a lot.
Remember when there was a time where people were clamoring for more Star Wars stuff?
Yeah. Is Star Trek an anime?
That's a very interesting question.
I was about to be like, you immediately said Star Wars wasn't an anime, but Star Trek, you're like, maybe, I don't know. Oh, I'm like,
Well, the one I considered was Lower Decks, but it's more of a Rick and Morty-esque cartoon.
Rick and Morty's not an anime, I think.
But there is a Rick and Morty anime.
I've heard it's not that good.
I haven't heard anything about it, so.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, they'll do this with Rick and Morty and Powerpuff Girls. They'll take these shows and turn them into anime, and yet comes weird for us considering I think we've done that video a lot at one point. But like, it does not translate as well. Kind of like why we said that turning an anime into live action shows almost does not always work.
Yeah, exactly.
I do remember.
Sorry, you go ahead.
I do remember somebody saying they want The Room to be an anime, and I'm still haven't forgiven them for that.
I remember that.
Yeah, I still haven't forgiven the person who says that.
Anyways, would it be cheating to say that The Simpsons and Family Guy is slice of life anime? Would that be cheating?
It's slice of life animated.
So yeah, it would be cheating.
Yeah, they don't necessarily have the same situations a lot of those have.
Didn't The Simpsons do like a Death Note episode one day?
Yeah, for their Treehouse of Horrors, they did it.
I'm not going to pretend like I saw it, so if you guys have seen it and you claim it's anime, I'll just take your word for it.
That particular episode, yes, is anime. Because I'm pretty sure they actually got the studio that did that. Like, I'm pretty sure they actually got them to animate that episode, that segment. So
I don't want to say I want that more, but it would be cool. It's cool that everybody was like, yeah, sure, we can do that.
Yeah.
Madhouse, that's the studio.
Madhouse, there you go.
I don't know. I feel like they did another anime that I really like, but I couldn't tell you. Let's see.
I've heard of them, so that's all I know.
Hunter x Hunter, One Punch Man. I swear they did a show I really like. Who knows? Anyways. Oh, they did. They did Chobits. One of my favorite anime. All right. I feel bad because I feel like I should have had Jay on for this, but the Boondocks is anime. It's anime.
Oh no, absolutely. Yeah, animation style alone, you could say that that's anime, but also like just how wild and over the top some of that stuff is in there. Yeah, that's easily anime.
Yeah, and I'm not going to mention half the stuff Uncle Ruckus says, because I still like to think that this channel this channel does not deserve to go through that.
You guys can salvage some money, okay? I don't think mentioning Uncle Ruckus stuff is going to give you that.
Yeah, and Afro Samurai is technically an anime, right? It's like, right?
I think it's legitimately an anime. Like, wasn't
Okay,
it?
all right. I just wanted to be sure because I was always scared. Okay, yeah, Japanese manga. Okay, yeah, we're good.
Yeah. It's just they had what was it? Wouldn't the series have Samuel L. Jackson like voicing Afro Samurai in the English?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I he has claimed he loves anime. We asked him if he loves anime. He says yes, he does, and he also says hentai too. So that's
Hentai too.
interesting. He was very proud of that.
Yeah, and said it on live, not live, YouTube TV.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not animated, but Cobra Kai kind of counts, doesn't it?
Yeah, with the arc that's more or less built over the past, over the series of it, the way that's like telling its story, the redemption of the main character. It's like, that is easily anime.
Redemption of the what do you mean redemption of the main character?
You know what I'm talking about.
No, it is him climbing back up to his rightful spot as king of karate in that city.
Nathan, you're one of those people who thinks the original Karate Kid ended with the good guy went. Oh, you're so
close. Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean. I see what you're getting at.
That kick to the face was illegal, and you know it.
Sweep the leg, Johnny.
I feel like there have been anime that talk about people dying, going to heaven, and continuing from there. So, The Good Place counts, right?
Yeah, you know what? Now that you word it like that, it's.
I mean, it kind of is.
Well, then does that mean like Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss are anime?
No, we're not considering those anime. We're not.
Okay. This is a serious one. I'm not saying it is, but I kind of want to know what you guys think. Is My Life as a Teenage Robot anime adjacent?
Yes.
Oh wow, that was easy.
Yeah.
Yes, because I mean, it's one of those, again, like, the main character introduced in a society they're not familiar to, and getting adjusted. Will also, like, look at the fight sequences alone. Look at the overpowered like villains sometimes that Jenny would have to go up against. I mean,
there was an episode where she couldn't speak English and all she did was speak Japanese. I do remember that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apparently the Japanese version of that is very, very different. It's just she can't speak Japanese and all she's doing is speaking English, and they can't understand her.
I was gonna say, or I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, wasn't there the episode where she finds out she actually has siblings, XJ 1 through 8, and then like at the very end they do like basically a mech sequence or whatnot to become like just one XJ.
I do remember the episode that you're talking about. I feel like she had siblings and they appeared maybe twice and then we never saw them again. Maybe I'm wrong.
Right, yeah. No, that's why I remember, because again, like, technically the siblings were considered to the mom like the failed experiments leading up to Jenny XJ9.
Yeah. Truth be told, that show is very similar to El Tigre in the sense of I like it, but I don't think I love it as much as my friends do. I was like, this is cool. I kind of like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those that I just kind of remember exists every so often.
It's one of those shows that I remember loving back when it was on, but nowadays I'm like, I need to watch it again to remember why I loved it.
I feel like Cap and Mike is the same way, because when I started rewatching, I'm like, holy crap, I actually kind of love it. Especially when you see the anime references. It's one of those shows that as you get older, it kind of gets more brilliant with the more anime you watch.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one that was similar in aspect, Robot Boy, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, crud. That just unlocked a memory for me.
I remember Robot Boy.
And he had the transformations. Yeah, that one's got to be animated.
Yeah. There's a whole YouTube channel that's putting out the episodes from what I've heard. And I was just kind of like, maybe I could rewatch it at some point, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you could point to like a lot of the Canadian shows that were on at like 3 p.m. on Cartoon Network or whatnot, and a lot of those would be anime adjacent. Does anyone remember Hero 101?
Vaguely.
It was Hero 108, I think it was.
The name sounds incredibly familiar.
I'll say
it's like clicking, but not. I don't remember.
I remember.
I was going to say Shaolin Chronicles is technically anime adjacent.
Yeah, I mean, Same with the Shaolin Showdown.
Yeah, see, it's anime adjacent. It counts.
But
Oh
just
my
like
God.
most anime sequels, it's not as good as the original.
We could probably. I could probably think of 3 anime who have better sequels than the original. Like maybe.
But like most, it's not as good.
I just don't think it's canon. No, Shaolin Chronicle. If Shaolin Chronicles existed, then I probably would agree with you. But it's I don't think it's I don't think it exists.
I was gonna say, is there any other ones you guys can think of or whatnot? Like,
Do you guys have a? I know I said my favorite was Teen Titans, but did you guys have a favorite out of all the shows we talked about?
I mean, I think I kind of illustrated, especially when it came to talk about Kappa Mikey, because that one just like lives so fondly in my heart.
And as I said, mine, I loved Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go growing up.
Yes.
Did you like it more than Shaolin Showdown? I feel like we talk about Shaolin Showdown more regularly than Super Robot, so I was kind of like, really? I don't know.
Both scratched different itches when it came to like that anime adjacent stuff, because one was more like the team fighting everybody, and then the other one was more of that almost Dragon Ball esque. Let's go collect the new item and battle a little bit for it. So I kind of liked both very much. Both were probably my top ones.
Yeah. I feel like we lost people. I feel like we've lost people when none of us said Avatar. 'Cause people get defensive about Avatar. Like most anime fans get defensive about their favorite shows. I'm like, look, Avatar is great, but just like,
Yeah.
I'm a Teen Titans guy. Have you seen
Like-
Teen Titans? And they all say no. I'm like, all right, this conversation's over.
Well, it's like none of us here said that like Avatar was horrible. We all enjoyed Avatar. It's just when it comes to anime adjacent stuff, we have preferences.
Yeah, most anime fans don't want to hear that. It's like, hey, have you seen the newest season of My Hero? I'm like, no. Have you seen Avatar? Yes, before you did, young child. I think that's what was happening because everyone said, "Have you ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender?" I'm like, "Yeah, when it came out."
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
I watched the series premiere and the series finale on the premiere days.
And I was upset that Sokka wasn't the one to save the day because Sokka was low key kind of my favorite.
Soki was not Soki. Sokka was incredible.
I was about to say, are you pronouncing his name the same way they did in the movie? Because you don't have to do that.
God.
I wish that was the worst part of the movie. So it's like, oh, they're pronouncing the names differently. If that's the worst part of the movie, we're set. No, it's not. Oh, goodness.
So you're gonna hate me for saying this if you don't already.
Oh yeah, because I have such a great history of not hating you.
Is the live action Avatar movie the equivalent of Dragon Ball Evolution?
Yes.
I almost don't want to say it.
It's like I'm not wrong. I hate that I have to say
No,
that.
it's not. No, it's not that. As much as I dislike Dragon Ball Evolution, the last Airbender movie just makes me sad.
Yeah.
Like, I can watch Dragon Ball Evolution and kind of laugh through it sometimes, but the last Airbender, I was like, this
What
is
did they
it, huh?
do? Look at it, they massacred my boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness. That's a Godfather reference, right?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Never
it is.
seen it.
That valid.
It insists upon itself.
You know, Seth MacFarlane recently came out and talked about where that came from or whatnot.
Yeah. Truth be told, that's kind of where I'm at with Death Note. It kind of insists upon itself.
How far are you? Have you reached the end yet?
Let me put it to you this way. If I'm not even at the point where everybody says this is the part where it falls off, and I'm kind of already like, yeah, I'm kind of just ready to finish this and move on to something else. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm halfway through the series.
Okay.
And also I'm gonna say for the people at home that for the people that ask why we didn't even mention Cory in the House, because that is not anime adjacent, that is the greatest anime of all time.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think I've seen the original Cory in the House, so I wouldn't have been able to say anything anyway.
I remember watching it when it was on. It's just a meme. That's the only reason why people say it's the greatest anime ever. It was an all right show.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything. But the point is, these are not anime, but I still enjoy them. They have anime adjacent stuff, the direction, the characters, the style. I still love these shows. And once again, please don't say they're anime. They're not. But like, I still have fun with them. Except Power Rangers. I think Power Rangers legit might be an anime, but that's another point for another day.
If nothing else, all these shows definitely showcase a similar love for anime if they're not considered anime themselves. So,
Yeah, I could see that. So, anything else before we start before we bring up Cyber Chase again, and we just crash out?
I think that's all I got.
You guys need to now if you guys have merch already, you need a shirt that's just plain text. Cyber Chase is an anime.
Cyber Chase is an isekai.
There you go. Cyber Chase is an isekai.
And if you press the shirt, it plays the awesome theme song.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but let's go home before I start crying. All right, but I guess before, like, as we're doing the outro, Nathan, thank you for joining us. Thank you for stomaching through this and finding a way to bring, I guess, some joy to our audience.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, and thank you guys for what you do as well with what you guys are doing here. This has been an absolute blast to be on here, and it's good to see you guys growing and continue to showcase that love for anime and stuff like that. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Keep it up, seriously.
That might be the nicest thing anyone said to me all day.
Oh,
Thank you, Nathan.
of course, always.
Yeah, what my parents haven't. We'll figure that out. But as usual, please support the PostModern Art Podcast. Maybe we'll be back on someday. Maybe another artist. Maybe we'll finally get Andre 3000 on when they finally confirm, hey, Class of 3000 is legit coming back.
Trust me, if I can get Audrey 3000 on, you better believe at the very least Alex is going to be on that bad boy.
Yeah.
Richard, if you want to, you're down, but Alex is definitely going to be there.
Exactly. We also said Lizzie Freeman, so I can gush over Lycoris Recoil.
There you go. That too.
Yeah. The show, the character she voices, I guess I can talk about her too. I guess she's okay. I guess.
I'll say, I think I mentioned this to you, but fun fact, whenever I talked to Lizzie Freeman at MomoCon, she legitimately said that Lycosis Recoil was one of her favorite, if not her favorite, like, voice acting role, or at least show that she worked on.
Yeah, and we talked about it too, and she, like I said, Chisato, I guess I can talk about her, I guess. But let's close out. Oh, so, ladies, gentlemen, Hanges, what are some anime adjacent shows that you like? Like, stuff we've talked about. Oh, who was your favorite Teen Titans character? Oh goodness, does Cory in the House really count as an anime? I guess Nathan says it does, so I guess we're going with it because I don't feel like arguing it.
Yeah, please give us some more ideas for these like anime adjacent stuff, because I'm sure there's plenty more that we missed that would bring back so many memories for all of us.
Yeah,
I imagine if there's enough, we might be able to do another episode of this commenters edition. Just saying.
Yeah, we can figure it out. But be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And we'll see you next time. This has been Alex.
And Richard.
And Post, Nathan.
And you've been listening to Anime Egotists. Good night, and peace easy.